All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Let's start off with some devotions, and then we got a lot of stuff we gotta get done. Here we go. All right, devotions for today. Devotions for today coming to us from the second half of Psalm chapter 37. Remember, Psalm 37 has this as its message: learn to have endurance. Right, as we talked about a little bit yesterday, this psalm specifically addresses not having envy against those who are unrighteous, and yet seemingly the Lord does nothing. But instead, this psalm encourages you to have endurance and the long suffering of the people of Christ. Starting in verse 23, let's take a look at Psalm 37. The steps of a man are established by the Lord when he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be cast headlong, for the Lord upholds his hand. I have been young, and now am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, or his children begging for bread. He is ever lending generously, and his children become a blessing. Turn away from evil and do good, so shall your dwelling forever. For the Lord loves justice, and he will not forsake his saints, for they are preserved forever. But the children of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land and dwell upon it forever. For the mouth of the righteous utters wisdom, and his tongue speaks justice. The law of his God is his heart, and his steps do not slip. The wicked watches for the righteous, and seeks to put him to death. The Lord will not abandon him to his power, or let him be condemned when he is brought to trial. Wait for the Lord, and keep his way, and he will exalt you to inherit the land. You will look on when the wicked are cut off. For I have seen a wicked and ruthless man spreading himself like the green of a laurel tree. But he passed away, and behold, he was no more. Though I sought him, he could not be found. Mark the blameless, and behold the upright, for there is a future for the people of man, rather for the man of peace. But the transgressor shall be altogether destroyed. The future of the wicked shall be cut off. For the salvation of the righteous is from the Lord. He is their stronghold in times of trouble. The Lord helps them and delivers them. He delivers them from the wicked, and he saves them, because they take refuge in him. Let's pray. Blessed Lord, who caused the Holy Scriptures to be written for our learning, grant us so to hear them, read, mark, learn, and inwardly digest them, that we might embrace and ever hold fast to the blessed hope of everlasting life, which you have given us through our Savior, Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen.
Can I get a different book?
No. All right, so there's a couple of things that we need to address here as we move forward. So, as you all have before you, right, we are starting a book, Two Hard Things. The book that you've been given is being lent to you. With the understanding that you are not going to destroy it, maim it, and otherwise break it.
Can I take this off?
All right, stop trying to talk over the top of me. All right, some of you are blessed to have a book cover that you've been granted with. If you want to, take it off and leave it in your locker for now, that's fine. I don't care. Sorry. As the case may be, all of these books are numbered, so I know who has what. If you destroy my book, I'll make you replace it, and we'll move forward that way. Now, here's the pacing that we're going to be doing. Because of all of the stuff we want to try to squeeze in, we're going to read 2 chapters a week in this. Now, you all are like, oh my goodness, 2 chapters a week. Well, hey, if you look at the book, first off, it's like really big text, and second off, 2 chapters a week ends up being like 20 pages, give or take. So there's that. The other question that normally comes up is, what are we doing with this? Well, there's two things that I'm going to have you do. First off, there's going to be an online component. I haven't completely fleshed out whether it's going to be a quiz or a short answer question here. But either tonight or over this weekend, you'll see something pop up on our Unified Classroom site that says, hey, do hard things week 1, click here to get points. Points are useful, especially if you struggled on today's memory quiz, right? The more points you have, the better your grade is. That's kind of how those things work. So the online component is my attempt to help diffuse some of the struggles you may have throughout the semester, point-wise. You have until next Friday to do it. Plenty of time. Second thing, Fridays, I want to actually have some discussion with you about the chapters that we read, which is part of the other reason that we're reading 2 chapters at a time. I used to read it 1 chapter at a time, and then like discussion would fizzle out halfway through class. But there's usually enough stuff to talk about that we should be able to make it through, especially with 2 chapters of material. So, so take a look at this. I know that many of you like to revel in the fact that you haven't read a book since, you know, for kindergarten or something like that. But my encouragement is that that you become familiar with this material, because there's a twofold benefit that comes. First off, if you're familiar with what we're reading in the chapter, that means that you're more useful to your peers when we have discussion, because you can bring up things like, hey, I thought that was really weird, or B, I don't agree with what they said there, or my personal favorite, C, I want to implement what they did in my own life, and here's what I'm thinking about how to do that, right? The other thing though that we're going to be doing to assess whether or not you took a look at this is you're going to have to write a paper on this. Oh, I know, it's terrible. The paper itself is going to be pretty straightforward, especially if you read this book. You should have no difficulty with it. I'll give you those instructions as we go along, because I want you to focus right now more on reading the book and less on trying to teach to the test, as the case may be. All right, so that's not going to be due all the way until December, though, so we have plenty of time to procrastinate on that. All right, questions? Yeah. 2004. So I understand that it's an older book. The ironic thing is that while some of maybe the references to new technology are a bit dated, the message is still the same, which I find to be massively ironic. And I'll try to make maybe more relevant analogies as we discuss things and go through it, but I think it'll be a useful thing to talk about. Other questions? Yeah.
I notice, looking at the board, that we have a faith walk and we have a vocational hours due. Well, we also have the service notes due.
Yeah, the service notes will be due actually the week after that. So the service notes will be due on the 18th of December. Your faith walk paper and your vocational hours are due on the 11th of December, and then the Do Hard Things will be due on the 4th of December. So we'll hammer all these things out. Again, I will, but not today.
Okay.
Most of it's there, but we'll just take kind of a refresher eventually, as the case may be. Let's see.
Wait, so if the faith walk paper is due in December, do we have to do stuff for it in second semester, or is it done?
Nope, no, nothing second semester. Yep. So the student who's waiting to the last minute to do stuff for their faith walk paper should make sure that they start keeping track of the information you're supposed to keep track of by the latest November 11th. I think it's a little bit before that. Because remember, you have to keep track for 4 weeks. Specific information, right? We'll talk about it next week, because there's some stuff I want to do hard things here with you to get you started with it. Okay, so you have an idea what's going on. So next week, make sure that you have chapters 1 and 2 read. Make sure that you look on our unified classroom for a quiz or discussion post. I haven't figured out what quite we want to do with that yet. And then we will we'll keep moving forward that way with it.
Is it written by these people?
Yep. So the thing that I find to be really intriguing about this book, let's transition into that. This book was written by 2 teenagers, Alex and Brett Harris, when they were 17, I believe it is. And the thing that I find really interesting, like I've said before, is that their message, although it's now aging, is still relevant for you guys as teenagers. So I tell you what, your assignment obviously is to make sure you have chapters 1 and 2 ready to go for next week. But to maybe give you a little bit of encouragement, let's go ahead and start reading chapter 1 here now. It's not every day you get story time with Mr. Schmidt, but I feel like let's take a look at it. So if you would turn to page 3 in the book here, and let's take a look at what Do Hard Things has to offer. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Do Hard Things, chapter 1. Most people don't. A different kind of teen book.
Okay. Oh,
Chapter-
they're
page
brothers?
3. Yep.
They're brothers?
Yep.
Are they twins? Okay.
Yep.
They don't look alike.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
fraternal. They're fraternal brothers.
So like, if you were both guys, and one of them's
All right, here we go. Chapter 1, page 3.
Same guy just quit.
Chapter 1, page 3. Most people don't expect you to understand what we're going to tell you in this book. And even if you understand, they don't expect you to care. And even if you care, they don't expect you to do anything about it. And even if you do something about it, they don't expect it to last. Well, we do. You see, this is a different kind of teen book. Check online or walk through your local bookstore. You'll find plenty of books written by 40-something who, totally understands what it's like being a teenager. You'll find a lot of cheap throwaway books for teens because young people today aren't supposed to care about books or see any reason to keep them around. And you'll find a wide selection of books where you never have to read anything twice because the message is dumbed down, just for you. What you're holding in your hands right now is a challenging book for teens by teens who believe our generation is ready for a change, ready for something that doesn't promise a whole new life if you just buy the right pair of jeans or use the right kind of deodorant. We believe our generation is ready to rethink what teens are capable of doing and becoming. And we've noticed that once wrong ideas are debunked and cleared away, our generation is quick to choose a better way, even if it's more difficult. We're 19-year-old twin brothers, born and raised in Oregon, taught at home by our parents, and striving to follow Christ as best we can. We've made more than our share of mistakes, and although we don't think average teenagers exist, there's nothing all that extraordinary about us personally. Still, we've had some extraordinary experiences. At age 16, we interned at the Alabama Supreme Court. At 17, we served as a grassroots director for 4 statewide political campaigns. At 18, we authored the most popular Christian teen blog on the web. We've been able to speak to thousands of teens and their parents at conferences in the United States and internationally, and to reach millions online. But if our teen years have been different than most, it's not because we're somehow better than other teens, but because we've been motivated by a simple but very big idea. It's an idea you're going to encounter for yourself in the pages ahead. We've seen this idea transform average teenagers into world changers, able to accomplish incredible things. And they started by simply being willing to break the mold of what society thinks teens are capable of. So even though this story starts with us, this book really isn't about us. And we would never want it to be. It's about something God is doing in the hearts and minds of our generation. It's about an idea. It's about rebelling against low expectations. It's about a movement that's changing the attitudes and the actions of teens around the world, and we want you to be a part of it. This book invites you to explore some radical questions. Is it possible that even though teens today have more freedom than any other generation in history, we're actually missing out on some of the best years of our lives? Is it possible that what culture says about the purpose and potential of the teen years is a lie and that we are its victims? Is it possible that our teen years give us a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for huge accomplishments as individuals and as a generation? And finally, what would our lives look like if we set out on a different path entirely? A path that required more effort but promised a lot more reward. We describe that alternative path with 3 simple words. Do hard things. If you're like most people, your first reaction to the phrase do hard things runs along the line of hard? Oh no, guys, I just remembered I'm supposed to be somewhere else, like right now. We understand this reaction. It reminds us of a story we like to tell about a group of monks. Yep, monks. On the outskirts of a small town in Germany is the imaginary abbey of Dundelhof. This small stone monastery is the home of a particularly strict set of Dandras monks who have each vowed to live a life of continual self-denial and discomfort. Instead of wearing comfy t-shirts and well-worn jeans like most people, these monks wear either itchy shirts made from goat hair or cold chain mail worn directly over bare skin. Instead of soft mattresses, pillows, and warm blankets, they sleep on the cold stone floor of the abbey. You might have read somewhere that monks are fabulous cooks. Well, not these monks. They eat colorless, tasteless sludge once a day. They only drink lukewarm water. We could go on, but you get the picture. No matter what decision they face, Dundras monks always choose the more difficult option, the one that proves the least physical comfort, holds the least appeal, offers the least fun. Why? Well, because they believe that the more miserable they are, the holier they are. And the holier they are, the happier God is. So these miserable monks must be the poster boy for do hard things, right? Wrong. We're not plotting to make your life miserable. We're not recommending that you do any and every difficult thing. For example, we're not telling you to rob a bank, jump off a cliff, or climb Half Dome with your bare hands, or to stand on your head for 24 hours straight. We're not telling you to do pointless or stupid hard things because they're hard. And if you're a Christian, we're certainly not telling you that if you work harder or make yourself uncomfortable on purpose, that God will love you more. He will never, and could never love you any more than he does right now. So that's what we're not doing. What we are doing is challenging you to grab hold of a more exciting option for your teen years than the one portrayed as normal society today. You see, this option has somehow gotten lost in our culture, and most people don't even know it. In the pages ahead, you're going to meet young people just like you who have rediscovered this better way, a way to reach higher, to dream bigger, to grow stronger, to love and honor God, to live with more joy, and to quit wasting their lives. And do hard things. We not only say that there's a better way to do the teen years, we show you how we and thousands of other teens are doing it right now, and how you can as well. This is a quick annotation. This book is not about telling you to do more, right? Because that's going to be the trap that we're going to fall into, I think, fairly quickly, right? As you start to read these pages. The thing is that we're not telling you, well, what other things can we add to your plate? But instead, the challenge I have for you is right where you are right now, think about what it is that you're doing. Why it is that you're doing it. I told you at the beginning of the semester, you're going to get sick of hearing me say those things. But it's the thing that I want you to think about. What do you actually do every day? Think about how you spend your time. Think about how you spend your focus, how you spend your energy, how you spend your relationships. Right? Because everything that you do has a cost. Whether it be in time, talents, energy, emotions. Think about what you're doing, why you're doing it. That becomes the fundamental tenet of do hard things. And we'll take a look at that next week for sure. So anyway, let's jump into chapter 2 here. We'll keep rolling through it. Because the more you read now, the less you have to read later, right? All right. Chapter 2, page 9, right? The birth of a big idea. The rumblings of a revolution. Well, the summer of 2005, when we were 16, was a tough summer. Not so much because of what we did, but because of what we didn't do. For several years, we'd been heavily involved in high school speech and debate, spending most of our summers doing research for the next season's topic and writing speeches for individual events. Our parents had decided that it was time for us to move on. And while we agreed with their decision, we felt lost. We welcomed the break, but we were looking for direction, unsure of what to do with our lives or even what came next. We knew we wanted to do something that mattered, but what was it? It seemed like every time we thought we had a plan, God closed the door, we were floating in limbo. And then Dad took charge. Dun, dun, dun. Cliffhanger. There you go. All right. Have a good weekend, guys. I will see you all next week.